Okay. Rob, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, and I can hear you. This is amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Board of Ed meeting take 2.
All right. We're bringing them in. Yeah.
Same 33 are still on, Mark.
Let's see. So Jamie, we are
Yes,
talking about correspondence.
I did. I had a thought. So I know that there has been other correspondence, like the lights on the stage was just communicated to Troy, and I think there was also a communication about lice at some point. And I don't think we need to address it, but maybe just say a communication came about lice or about.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's not directed at me or at the Board of Ed, you still want me to share any emails that are out there?
I think we do.
Or if I get them.
Right, Chad?
And I did get one about stage lighting from a community member.
But I think that
and then I didn't say I had the communication, but at the meeting, I gave a pretty elaborate report about the stage lighting.
You did a great job.
Right.
But
So I think I addressed it, but I didn't say I got a communication from a community member.
Yes.
That's right. I did not.
Would you agree, Chad? That's what we're looking for.
Because I was told
Yeah,
that this line item here, and maybe that would be more fitting in like our reports. Because the correspondence, technically the line item under correspondence is for somebody who reaches out and says, please share this as part of your Board of Education meeting. And then I'm supposed to come out and say, I have correspondence shared by, so something like that wasn't really directed that way, but I think it might have a place to be shared. But
I guess when we receive, I mean, you know, like the 2 emails that I talked about, we received to the entire Board of Ed.
Mhm.
To me, that was clearly a statement that was wanted to be shared, that they wanted us all to know, and I would assume that they wanted it to be known that.
I know, but you can't assume that. It was directed to the Board of Education. It wasn't said share publicly or anything like that.
Then I just think we need to make sure that everybody knows that if you want anything shared in terms of correspondence, that you must specifically state that I would like this correspondence
like
to
it
be
read in the
shared. And
public
perhaps we
comment.
should even put that into somewhere where people will see it.
And I
Because
can
I do, and maybe I'm wrong, and the unions did not want that shared, but to me, it felt like they were making a statement, and the only ones who
And I
heard it
can
was
also
us.
reply and ask them if they'd like it shared.
I guess I don't understand the difference between a public comment then and correspondence.
There is a difference. And that's kind of what Cabe delineated for me, is there's a difference between somebody just making a comment or saying, I'm not going to be able to be at the meeting. Can you say this during public comment, versus a correspondence piece versus something that says, I'd like this shared at a meeting.
Yeah, in this email that I got, it didn't say to share it at a meeting, but it said please to address it, and that they had spoken to another board member who would also like it addressed. And we actually did what they asked. We addressed it right away. We just didn't read this. They didn't ask us to read it to the board. It was Dear Troy to me. It wasn't Dear Troy and Board of Ed. So
I think to
why didn't
respond and
read
just
it.
say, would you like me to share this at the meeting? That way there's no deciding if somebody does or doesn't. And then also, I don't want you to feel like you're not getting communication. That's the most important part, is that you're getting the communication, right? So, because this isn't, as much as we love having the public, it really isn't a public meeting, it's a board meeting. So the most important people to hear some of that information are you guys, and I want to make sure you're getting that. So, but just continue to let me know moving forward if you're hitting something that's not making sense or hearing something. Reports, Troy?
Yeah, so a couple things, staffing updates. We did receive a few notices of retirements since we've met. Jane Savidio, fourth grade teacher, and Joan Quinn, elementary school computer teacher, are both planning on retiring. We appreciate all the multiple years of service to the North Stonington Public Schools, and they will be missed. They've had a huge impact and have seen many changes throughout the district of over 30 some years, both of them, and hard to replace. The other comments I have pertain to the budget, and I'll just mention one, and you can tell me if you want me to go on about it now, but Randy Rumroll and I met with Alan Ladd and Bob Carlson in my office today, this afternoon, and really dug down deep into that general building services line. And it was a very productive meeting. And I have some updates on that, which I have a handout. I've given you the handout, but I can talk you through it if you like, or we can wait until the part of the meeting that's specifically on the fiscal year 27 budget.
Yeah, let's make it all part of the budget
Okay.
discussion.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I think we're going to have enough discussion tonight.
Okay. I don't have anything specific to report other than we've just been working on budget. Board of Finance meeting was Monday. Our next meeting to them is this upcoming Wednesday. Let's see. And I also wanted to welcome Olivia Tavares. She is going to be our student ambassador next year, but she's going to fill in for our missing ambassadors tonight, and we'll pass it off to you. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. Happy to be here. So I basically have the Wheeler agenda, the rundown of what's been happening lately. So last Thursday, our school counseling office hosted a high school transition night for all students transitioning to high school at Wheeler next year. It was a great opportunity for families to hear more specifically about the program of studies and courses, offerings, and how to begin planning their children's graduation plan for their time at Wheeler. We have kicked off our spring sports season. This season, we have high school baseball and softball, middle school baseball, high school track and field, high school girls lacrosse, and high school golf. Our high school boys lacrosse and high school tennis teams will co-op with St. Berners. Other athletic events, we have 2 more Tom's Coffee Truck events sponsored by our sports boosters, and our winter sports banquet is tonight at Lake of Isles. Our high school track team is also hosting a clinic for our middle school students this spring. Much like middle school girls volleyball program, it will be done to help build programming for next year when we enter a new league for our middle school, which has a track and field program in the spring sports season. Last Wednesday, our school counseling office hosted a scholarship fair for all seniors. Several local organizations were in attendance to share information about the scholarships they offer. Representatives were able to distribute applications and speak with students about eligibility requirements and opportunities available to them. While many scholarships support students pursuing higher education, others recognize students entering the workforce or pursuing different postgraduate graduation paths. Because of this, the fair offered valuable opportunities for all seniors, not just those planning to attend college. And fun testing. High school SAT school day was today for all juniors. Juniors were able to take the SAT test at Wheeler. This continues to be a great opportunity to take the SAT test for free at Wheeler. We had a great attendance rate overall. Wheeler is organizing a high school debate after school for some of our ECC schools sometime in April. If all goes well, this will become an annual debate for students in the region to continue to sharpen their communication skills. I can tell you, as someone who's going to this upcoming debate, we are all super excited to attend. And celebrations, our high school math team made the states by finishing in top half of the ECC Math Team League and will be competing in the state competition on March 31st. Our high school Model UN attended the national conference and competed against students from all over the world on the floor of the UN. Our team expressed a true appreciation for the weekend and were able to meet many students and delegates from around the world. The surprise guest speaker was Kamala Harris, who gave a non-partisan welcome to all participants, reminding them of their role to think globally and to make a change in the world. As someone who was there that weekend, it was truly a remarkable experience, especially to see students from around the globe and to talk with them and debate such relevant topics. Truly a wonderful experience. And at the elementary school, we have had a busy period here at NSES and would like to acknowledge the efforts of our students. We want to recognize the NSES Drama Club for their recent performances of Beauty and the Beast Jr. The students, both cast and crew, worked hard on the production. We are pleased with the effort and commitment to the show, everyone involved in bringing this classic story to the stage. We also wish to thank the Drama Club director, Ms. Gonzalez, for her work in leading the students and guiding the production. We appreciate her commitment to the program. It was a great experience for the students here at NSES. Next week, we are looking forward to our third graders who will be performing in their plays on Connecticut history. This is an annual event for grade 3 students who work with our artist in residence, Carol Glenn. Each class will put on a different performance that teaches our audience about Connecticut history. As always, our second graders will be in attendance, so they can look forward to their performance next year. Students are preparing for the Smarter Balance Assessment, which will be taking place starting in late April. We are also preparing for the parent-teacher conferences, which will be held on April 1st and 2nd. Once again, this year, our 5th and 6th grade students will be conducting student-led conferences where they get to present to their families about their progress and what they are most proud of. We also have our kindergarten information night scheduled for March 31st, and kindergarten registration will take place on April 8th. That is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to, I know you just announced 2 retirements, and I just wanted to quickly just thank Mrs. Servideo and Mrs. Quinn. They've been in the district a long time and really valuable education that I know my daughters received from them, and I know many of us around the table have had the fortunate education experience with them. They will be missed, and I wish them well in their retirement.
Can I just ask you a quick question? Because I had in my calendar that the debate at Wheeler was going to be tomorrow. Did that get changed?
Yes, it did.
Okay.
Am I wrong? I'm sorry.
But we don't have a solid new date in April. It was just rescheduled
Yes,
for
it
April
was
sometime.
just rescheduled,
Okay,
yeah.
thanks.
Anybody else have anything for Olivia?
All right, that was amazing. Like for your first time here, that was excellent. Good
Thank you
job.
so much. Thank you, really.
All right, so that brings us up to the February financial report, and we did go over this at the financial committee meeting.
So in front of you, you do have a new report that was handed out, which is slightly different from the one that was emailed in the packet. We were trending at approximately 32,000 favorable for the year, 32,913. We since backed out on lines 178 and 179, 26,500 on each line for the dimmer panel. So we are now trending to be favorable 89,913.
And just because we hadn't had more discussion on that or approved any of those, and in light of what our budget ask is moving forward, we had asked to take those out. We hadn't discussed it yet, but we do need to take the notes out on it too, Kathy, before we move it forward. All right, thanks. Any questions on the report at this point? And I think we'll wrap a lot of that into our budget discussion as well. So can we get oh, we don't do that to the end. Never mind. Okay. Old business. We're going to move into the budget update. Who wants to start?
Start.
Okay.
I did give the board a handout, and I want to explain to you my recommendations for some budget fiscal year 27 budget modifications. We are at 5.47%. We had a meeting with the Board of Finance on Monday, and they did not give us a number. But it was pretty clear that we needed, they were not going to approve a budget 5.47%. So when I looked at this, I gave you some scenarios, and I want to explain to you how the budget could get down to 4.13% with no positions impacted. You can look at some very possible savings from retirements. That doesn't mean not replacing people. You can look at moving the Chromebooks that you put in the budget to the non-lapsing. And we had done that. We boosted half of the Chromebooks back into the budget where you can take them out. That'll save you 34,000. New equipment we had as a buffer in case some laptops break, where you can take that 20,000 out and put that non-lapsing. We now know we do not have to pay for this new climate survey. We're getting it for free. So there's 4,000. And met with Bob Carlson and Alan Ladd, Randy Rummerl in my office today. And we found approximately 60,000 to cut out of the general building services line. And from that line, we also moved some utilities to new utility lines under the recommendation of the first selectman and highway department person, Alan. So we actually now will have lines in the budget next time we get a budget document out to you for water and trash. Because technically they're not really building services. So all of that brings the building services line down to 35,100. So if you turn the page on this handout, you'll see that. And this page is broken up into 3 sections. The top section is that 35,100, which is what is would be in the Board of Ed budget. And then the next section is the maintenance agreements for up to 100,000 that the town has agreed to take next year. And then the last section is the repairs that the town has agreed to continue to take next year as they did this year. So I'm very pleased that we're able to collaborate with Bob and Alan and Randy on this, and we had a really productive meeting. And I think this is what probably the Board of Finance wanted to see.
Yeah.
More specifically. So I would suggest this might be a document we share with them. And the good thing is we're able to find $60,000 of the budget. So when you do all of that, okay, that's how we get the budget down to 4.13% with 0 positions impacted. And then I gave you some other scenarios as well that we can talk about if you like.
Just real quick, Troy, make note that when we did cut this, it's the 18,928 and the 14,000 are the ones that are added to the utility.
The
utilities.
18,928 for trash and the
And the
14,000 for
14,000 for
water
water.
and the 1,860 for the legal shred is also going to be moved out of there and be combined with the trash line.
Can we go over those line items so I know exactly where we're putting those? Do you have
We're going to
those
create
line
new
These are the
utility.
3 on the breakdown, and they're just, she's gonna add them right to the end of utilities, adding,
Right. And this meeting took place this afternoon.
items? Okay,
so it's gonna get added into like, we're gonna adjust from
So
196
it's
on.
It's a wash in terms of, no pun intended. We're moving the water,
okay,
14,000 from one place to another. It's not a cut in the budget. It's just
Okay.
a move.
okay,
Those
right.
things we're moving to utilities are not cuts. What's cut is the 60,000 out of that general building maintenance line.
well, we
So
had it at
we'll-
128 and it's going down to 35.
Well, no, all right, so that's correct.
So it's
what
more
are the
than
numbers?
60,000, so we-
60 plus the 35.
No.
utilities.
No, so you get to the 35, there's 2 steps to get to the 35. One is to take off the 60,000 from the 128. And the other is to take off the water and the trash and the legal shred that's moving to another part of the budget.
Oh, I gotcha.
So is it 47,000? What is it? 37?
34,788.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did that in my head off your little note card. So
Here, you want to check it?
Sorry, can we just get a line number?
34,788 is gonna increase in the utility line.
Right, so that money is just a wash, moving it from one part of the budget to the other, but in the meeting today,
Gotcha.
the representative of the town thought it would be more accurate to put it under utilities, especially because that general building services line is a hot topic, and we want to make sure we have it pretty clean about what is there.
Can I just get a line number on the budget for the general 181. Okay, thank you.
So it's a $58,120 impact.
Is that going to now be a line item issue moving forward?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, but
because we had a two. we had a
but it's
two
still
on.
the right thing to do, and it's just going to be that we need to make sure that we let the Board of Finance
Mhm.
know that.
That's why we're not giving them Excel spreadsheets.
Fair enough.
All right, so if you look at line 179, Jamie, or 178 on the budget, that's the general building services, and that's that second sheet that Troy handed out.
It's not what you sent us. It's-
No, this is
okay.
handout tonight. This,
Got it.
this
Oh,
was produced at 5:00.
no, but this is different than what you emailed us in
That's
the
correct
board
too.
packet.
That's correct too. That's different.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll get there.
Yep. Hot off the press. Most up-to-date information possible.
Well, this is current year. What you're looking at is current year. Yeah, you should be looking at budget. This is the budget. No, would take your time. It's a lot of stuff. All right, so it's line 178 in the budget.
I'm sending the budget of 181 in our current budget.
Right, but we've changed some line items with the new budget, and then we're gonna be sticking with those. So, is there anywhere in this budget that we're capturing that $6,000 where we're collecting insurance money on Chromebooks from parents? Because we should be spending that every year on Chromebooks.
It's not reflected in the budget.
Okay,
But I am suggesting you cut out all Chromebooks from the budget.
okay.
So you can't, you wouldn't want to go negative, and. your
No,
budget
but we
line,
could, out of the 34,000, maybe to go to non-lapsing or to year end, we could spend 6,000 out
Yes.
of that account.
You could,
Okay.
That's like 12 Chromebooks, right?
something like that.
Yeah, how much is in that account, Kathy? Do you know? All right. Hmm. And so does every, how much? So how much do we collect in
It's about
insurance?
3 or 4 Chromebooks. It's, we,
Per Chromebook?
I believe is it 30 or 50? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I don't know why we're bothering.
It's not a lot. Yeah, I mean, the main reason for collecting that was for some like ownership, accountability, that it's like a user fee, for kids. And yeah, it can help. It may accumulate over the years. And I had given you a multi-year plan last year of it would increase each year because we're only charging kids who got a new one, or if they're continuing to use the new one, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, we are going to collect. So that money will accumulate over the years. So it could be more useful in the future.
Right. So right now it's only 2 years worth of kids, but in the future it'll be 8 years.
Yeah, so I misspoke on that. I thought it was up to like 6,000. I thought we were collecting much more on that. All right, that was my fault. 1,800. All right, so does the board just want to leave that account to get to a point where maybe we can make bigger purchases with
Well,
that? Or
I think we leave it, especially considering the fact that we cut out the money that was in for the possibility of broken Chromebooks that needed to be replaced, and at least have, I mean, 1,800 is not going to do much, but if we, it's a lot of paper. If we looked at the new equipment that we cut 20K out of, you know, I think we just let that sit there for the same reason as that 20K.
And then if we have some breakdown or something like that, that we weren't planning on, use it for that. Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're clear on what we're using it for. All right, so thank you, Troy, for doing all that work, especially on the building services. That really makes a difference.
Sure.
I think everybody has some feelings about how we got our number communicated with us. So I don't know if we want to start with that conversation. I've been given the number of the 1.36 is where they'd like us to work towards. Do we want to start down at the end of the table and get any feedback, comments, suggestions on where to cut, what to do, that kind of thing?
I mean, first and foremost, I'd love to know in what public meeting that 1.36 was arrived at before we even start to discuss that, because I got an email from you. I watched the board meeting, the Board of Finance meeting. At no point did I hear them, and according to your email, ever say 0 or 1.36. So I'm trying to figure out what meeting they had to arrive at that number, because I think we have some issues if that's the case, and they're having meetings that aren't being held in public, and they're now telling us where we have to end without actually stating it publicly and owning that statement. So I'm all for having a discussion about this budget, but I'm not going to entertain a 1.36 until they have it in a meeting and they discuss it publicly.
I second that. A 1.36 is a huge cut. That means cutting significant positions. And if that's the stance they want to take, I think it needs to be debated and put in a public meeting. And I will never support a 1.36 ever. So.
Okay.
I'm going to repeat pretty much the same sentiment. I will not discuss down to a 1.36 tonight. If we have discussion regarding things that we think that we can cut without impacting the education of students, I'm fine having that discussion. But until I don't believe that this guidance was given appropriately, and I'm frustrated that they didn't come to this decision in a meeting in front of people, to allow for public comment at the end of the meeting, to allow for all of the variety of things that are supposed to happen in the way that this comes. And I think that it's I think it's disingenuous to have a number come to us outside of that forum and then expect that we are going to be the ones who are going to come here and have that discussion. So again, I am happy to discuss the budget tonight, and I will happily discuss down all of the things that we can possibly do to lower the budget, because I think that's our job. But 1.36 as a number is not even going to be in my mind as we're doing that.
Okay, thank you. And I will send that message back. I just wanted to communicate it to you as soon as I got the communication, and I didn't know how else to do it other than to send you an email. And I did tell Mike that I asked, can I share this with my board? He said, absolutely. And so that's what we did. More general of what came out of the Board of Finance meeting, kind of the things I heard, definitely working around the general building services. So I think we did that. Really just in general for the town, because of the reval year, all of that, and just looking at our increases in the last 3 to 5 years, we just need to really start looking long-term at sustainability of the school. And I think that was, for me, the message I heard the most. We can't just look at it and say, well, this is the staffing we have, this is the way it is, this is the contract, and move along and just take your increase and take your increase. We have to constantly be looking at innovative ways to work with the budget we have and keeping the monies as, you know, the increases down as much as possible. I want our school to be here a really long time. And the only people paying for it are taxpayers right now. If we get more businesses here, things like that, that would be helpful. But we worked really hard to get it to stay here. We really worked hard to have a pre-K through 12, to have a new building. And the sustainability message really kind of stuck with me. So I think if we can do some work here without sacrificing, position RIF, I guess is what you called it, Chet, right? Looking at the positions that we maybe have vacant, being creative there, but I think we need to move the number, certainly off of where we presented, but keeping staffing intact would be really important to me.
Well, then, I agree with all of you. I sat through that Board of Finance meeting and there was a lot of talk and it amounted to absolutely nothing. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. They gave zero guidance. To receive an email from Christine at 6:30 the night before our meeting to say that this is how they finally, or this is the number they finally came up with. And we have no idea where anybody stood on that number because it felt like some secret squirrel mission. I don't even know. Very disappointed in the way that happened. When we originally looked at the budget, I agreed that there could be some cuts. I think 1.36 is ludicrous. I don't think that we can achieve that. And I agree with Christine that RIF is not an option. So we just need to take a hard look at all of our line items that have minimal impact on our students and our staff.
I'm just going to repeat what everyone here has said. I did watch the Board of Finance meeting last night. They were very much struggling with trying to back into a number with the reevals. And I do understand, because I've heard it in several meetings, that we have people in this town that do not have children that go to our district. 40% of the people here do not have children that go to our district. And as one of those people personally that will be greatly impacted by the reeval, I still support our budget. I think we put forth a very prudent budget, fiscally sound. Yes, there's some questions about maintenance. We do have to do some work there. But to come back with a 1.36 that was not publicly stated, I don't even know where they came up with that number. The one number I heard at one point was a 2.5%, which is still going to be devastating to our students. So I don't support it as well.
I'm going to hold most of my comment for right now in regards to the guidance from the Board of Finance. Going back years and seeing the growth, some years were higher than others, but looking at our town and what we have coming in and knowing the complexities of that, I don't see the current increase cycle being able to be maintained by the town. And I think that's the bigger issue, not that anyone doesn't support the budget. It's just when we're looking at our town as a whole, we've got to take care of our school and take care of the fiscal health of our town. So the other part, there's a lot of different things working this year also in the budgets, from the revals to one-time revenue, items that are coming. So a lot of what is being used in the budgets this year will not be used going forward. So there's a lot that the Board of Finance is trying to juggle and take into account without receiving much guidance themselves on this. So I think they're treading very lightly. However, I do not agree with the the email sort of guidance. And then that being said, I guess I'll just say this now, as far as like growth, our town has been somewhat obsessed with growth. And I don't think that we're giving enough reflection or support to actual infrastructure. Infrastructure in regards to actually carrying out what we want to grow, and also in regards to public safety. Our town goes hemming and hawing over any little thing that the fire department asks. There are main line of first responders. There are public safety. We have the ambulance corps, who's also our first line of public responders. We have 2 state troopers that are on, and I do believe that as we're growing, we need to really think about how we're structuring our town. And I honestly don't support much more growth until that is done. So growth, quote unquote.
Thank you. So I guess we need a starting point. And when I look at, go ahead.
I'll start because I think there's easy ones.
Okay, well,
Can we
let
get the
me,
easy ones, or are you
yeah,
gonna
can
go
I
with the
just
easy
look at
ones?
this chart first and then you start with the
Okay.
things you want to go with. So when I'm looking at this chart that Troy gave us, the 2.87 number is with no cuts to positions. Well, I shouldn't say that no cuts, but not cutting current staffing. It would be not filling some vacancies.
Attrited positions.
It'd be attrition, right? And it's also not putting in the custodian position that was asked for in this budget. And it does have the additional para though, right? Because, or does it not, Troy?
I'm not going to comment.
Well, it's on our budget. It says additional para position right on my budget note.
I'm not commenting on what the specific positions would be impacted.
I know, but I'm just looking at things that are on the budget you presented to us. Was a custodian position.
I was
and
just giving you a general idea. If you go down to 2.7%, 2.6 positions are affected.
Don't forget, Christine, that para has been filled already.
Oh, but that was my question. That's why I'm asking. It was the one that was filled this year and it's an increase in the budget, so it's still in there, right? I mean, we have that person.
Like I said, I'm not discussing positions tonight.
Okay. I mean, but we did last time, these two positions, but they're on the budget sheet, but that's fine. All right, so I guess the 2.87 with the 476 increase may or may not have the positions that were asked for before, but that's where we are. And I'm just wondering, oh, sorry. So I'm just wondering if we want to try, you've got some other places to look, Chet.
I was just going to start off on the fact that I'm still not in favor of moving the Chromebooks into non-lapsing, but I am entirely in favor. And this is another one of those, Judy and I actually agreed on something moments, putting it into the operating budget this year because of the overage that we have for our year end. So if we take that 34K for the Chromebooks, and instead of taking it out of the non-lapsing, now we just put it into the operating so that we can get that taken care of. And we eliminated it out. I know it's still kicking the can down the road, and we're still creating a situation where next year we're going to have to backfill that somehow, because otherwise what we end up with is just a grade of students with no technology. We've committed to the technology plan. It needs to be there. Otherwise we're just losing out on that. I think the other one that we discussed a little bit was that I think is kind of a no-brainer in my mind, at least, is that we figure out a way to handle midterms differently so that we can save the 7K on busing that we currently pay extra because of the fact that we have to have the bus drivers wait between the end of the half day for the high schoolers to go pick out the elementary school kids.
I think that number was 17,000 though.
No, it was seven. It was seven on the midterm. The 17 that we had discussed previously was on the late bus that we currently run for Homework Club, which the 7,000 I think is a no brainer, because I think that what we do is we say, no, we figure out one way or another to do that. Either what we do is we hold high school kids for study groups after school, or we say, hey, if you can get a ride home, you get a ride home, but we're running our buses at this time. We'll have staff available in the commons, or we have the elementary school have half days as well, and we do PD for teachers in the afternoon at the elementary school. Whatever those ideas might be, I would put it to Troy and admin and staff to figure that out. But I think that that's a space that it seems silly that for 1 week of double busing, we're paying $7,000. The late bus one is less of a no-brainer for me, only because of the fact that sometimes what we're serving in that late bus is the students who may not have the opportunity to be able to get that ride, but desperately need that help. I still think that that's a spot to go, because I think that we need to be making cuts, and I would be in favor of removing that late bus, unless what we hear from admin is, no, you're going to crush our program. Our Homework Club makes a huge academic impact, and we can't do that. So again, that one, I would put that on the list, barring news from admin saying, no, we have huge numbers of kids using that late bus and it's going to significantly impact. Because if the problem with a late bus is that you have to run it all over the entire town, because you have a small number of kids on it. So the idea that Right. It's not the most efficient use of transportation, but it may be the use of transportation. Again, I would defer at a future time to people telling me, no, this is not okay. It's going to impact too much. But to me, that's, between the two of those, if we can save $25,000 in transportation, that's a step in the right direction. So I'm also personally like the possible retirement savings from retirements, right? Like, I mean, those are largely present. At least one we're talking about, is an elementary school, and we have, generally speaking, a decent number of applicants for elementary school positions. So the pool may be a very different look, and we may be able to find great teachers in lower steps than the Servideo. It's going to be a massive loss. My kid did invention convention for years, but I think that replacement would be different. The new equipment, I'm okay with that cut. I don't know about other people, but I'm totally on board on that. And then the general building services, I think, is
What is
done.
exactly in the new equipment?
He said it was for replacement Chromebooks and things like that. So when things break down, I think our goal would be one of two things. Number one, we've got our Chromebooks insured at this point, and so that piece of things should negate a lot of that process. And number two, we're looking at new Chromebooks. I mean, I'm sure there's certain ways that you negate the warranties on them and would need to replace. And it's good to have some on hand just to be able to do. But I get, if we're not in a what's working best. We're in what can we do?
It's also for teacher laptops that break, and you got to replace a teacher laptop. So rather than getting a new one, they'd have to use an old one that we still have around if they broke their newer one.
How critical are Chromebooks for the lower grades 1 through 4? Does anybody know?
Critical. They're
How much, are they, what are they using them for?
Oh, lots of,
that could be a $23,000
well,
savings.
they need them. There's a lot of things that the elementary school needs the Chromebooks for students. There is so much electronic with assessments the kids have to take, that we have to collect data on kids, how they doing on their reading and the math, and they have to do it on a Chromebook. Not every kid has a Chromebook in elementary school. The grade kindergarten through 4, they have a set of them in each classroom, but it's not 1-to-1 until we get to grade 5.
So does that mean they'll be using them more? Or
what's that?
Does this mean that they'll be using them more?
No, we'll be sustaining the level of use that's currently happening.
So I like some of the ideas that Chet put forth. Is it possible? So you said the 20,000 is for teacher laptops as well. Is it, but not the full amount? Do you know roughly the cost for the teacher laptops?
No, this is not to buy replacement. This is just in case we have breakage and we have to replace.
Okay.
We're okay with teacher laptops for next year. That's why they're actually, we're not planning to buy teacher laptops in the budget next year because we already purchased what we needed.
Okay, that's what I thought, but so adding everything up, I think I got $138,000 in savings, 138,000. Does that? So
one of the other things that came up and anybody else can speak up. I just keep talking because somebody gave me a mic. But one of the other things that we talked about was the idea that we seem to be trending over in healthcare on a regular basis. Year after year, we seem to end up with extra money, which has saved us, right? I mean, it saved our butts this year, because if we hadn't had the extra money in there, then we wouldn't have been able to cover the special ed costs and other things without appropriation. But at the same time, again, if what we are being asked to do is cut significantly, I feel like that is one that, as long as the numbers pan out, if Kathy looks back over the past few years, it doesn't seem like we have hit our number on that at all. We seem to be trending about 10% over, I think is what we figured out. And if we change that number, I know the number 8 was floated. I don't know if I'd go all the way to 8. But I mean, again, it's not ideal, but it's another spot where we can pull money. So,
which would be how much? Chet, did we figure out 8% cut? In the
What,
medical?
Jamie, can you tell me what's in the number that you just came up with?
Yeah, I'm just trying to I'm trying to keep track of it all because you're throwing out a lot of ideas. And so I'm just trying to keep a tally
Well, and
going.
the possible savings from retirement isn't actually
Right.
numerical at the moment.
So I'm not accounting for that right now. So I have 34,000 in Chromebooks that would be moved to this year, 7,000 for the midterm bus.
But the number on this chart already took the Chromebooks out.
In what chart?
In this,
This one?
yes.
Yeah, I'm not going by that. I'm going by what Chet is saying, just to kind of keep track of what his
Oh.
total
To see what
is.
the numbers actually look like versus what it's showing up.
Okay.
Yeah, and then 17,000 for the late bus, which I want to talk about, but anyway, we'll just add it. 20,000 for the new equipment and then 60,000 for general building.
So when we were talking about the late bus, Jamie, we were talking about doing a $25,000 deduction on the transportation line and
Okay.
leaving it up to the admin and the super to figure out how that works best, because we seem to be trending favorably in that line. If that means
Okay.
that we can keep the late bus because we're
see.
still favorable, so cut the 25, but let them make
I
that
like that.
decision.
Okay, so then it would be 25 total for the midterm and.
Yes,
that.
and
So-
however they handle that on their end is,
Okay, I like
them.
that better. So that's how I got to 138. But if I'm going off of 878, right? Okay, hold on, I have to do some math first. Okay, so that's 740 as of right now, but that's not including any retirement,
Right.
nothing else. Yeah, okay, thanks. I just want to keep going.
Now, is that also including the other pieces at the top there, the 4K and the 20K cuts?
Nope, yes to 20, not 4.
She did the 60.
No,
She did the 60.
I just wanted to comment that in relation to the medical insurance, that we all agree that that is a risk, because that is something that could potentially end up costing more in one given year, a lot more, in which we'd have to go back to the town. I don't want to hear from the Board of Finance that, how come you didn't budget it? How come you didn't follow best practice and budget for your maximum amount? So I just want to put that out there. I know this is what we have to do because it's the position we've been put in. But this is something that people need to know that that is a risk.
so would you, instead of doing the 8% cut in medical, would you feel better if we took out one family plan and one single plan, which would still be a 41,000 savings?
Sounds to me like we're gonna need the single plans. Yeah, so, but maybe a family plan, which still helps a lot. Right? Do we have a dollar amount associated with?
So a
that?
family plan is 30,000 and a
Right.
single is 11,000.
Yeah,
Average, yeah.
right.
So why don't we start with it?
I-
Does anyone have an issue with pulling one family plan for sure?
No,
Does anyone have a problem with that?
no.
So we definitely have 30K there.
30,
Yep.
yep.
So I guess what I was hoping to do is work off of the suggested cuts. Not really cuts, but the suggested number that Troy came to us with that includes the retirement, includes the Chromebook, the new equipment, the climate survey, the building thing at 476, 876, and then see where else we can go. Because I'd like to keep those retirements in there.
In that 2.87%, we've got number of positions impacted 2.6. And I thought I heard someone say that we were going to just not fill positions through attrition. Did that include these two retirements? Because one of them is a fourth grade teacher, correct?
Can we talk about
It's a complicated equation. It's not a one-for-one situation.
Mm-mm.
So
I just wanna make sure
I'm
we're not gonna
I'm not
be
prepared
short
to
a
talk about
teacher,
specifics
a
about
fourth-grade
the
teacher.
positions, but
So
it's
through
equivalent
attrition,
of
they.
2.6
right, they
positions.
balance.
I think perhaps what we should do is figure out language for the board regarding this. I think that we can talk about attrition positions versus RIFT positions. RIFT just stands for reduction in force, and that's usually you actually remove an active teacher from a position and they no longer have a job. Whereas attrition would be not filling. So I think that if we refer to these as it's 2.6 positions, but none of them involve a RIF, what that
That's correct.
means is I mean, we're not going to lose a human being teacher in our building who's going to lose a job. We will not fill a position in a way that that through a plan will work to not impact education. Sort of. I think that the problem is that people are asking about positions, and the difference between positions as a RIF and positions as attrition are incredibly important. And I know that the board is looking for zero RIF.
I guess-
Completely understood. I agree with that. I just, with the term or the language of retirements and attrition. So that's where it got confusing.
And so while I'd like to use this chart, I don't know if I feel comfortable talking about number of positions impacted. With no, right, no, but I don't know how to talk about it without talking about it or looking at this chart without talking about it. So that's why I was kind of.
Well, I think the big thing is the possible savings from retirements is in that 476,876. So regardless of the positions or the shifting or the however they deal with the attrition, that number includes just the retirements. It doesn't include any RIFT.
Right.
So what I was hoping to do is take those suggestions that Troy came to us on staffing and all of that, and then at what else can we bring? Does that make sense, or still not, we're not on the same page? Well, I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
Yeah, I think so. I think.
I think if you're looking at financially what those retirements would save, if you're talking about those coming out of the budget, you're talking about approximately 180, 185K, give or take, depending on the position, step, and what degree they have. So we start factoring that into the cost savings. That's how we can look at it without talking about it in terms of position. You can talk about it in terms of that overall savings based on retirement. If I'm understanding that correctly. Go ahead, Chet.
Well, the number's there.
Well, and I think the problem is just how the retirements are going to bring savings may not be as straightforward as your number.
Right. No, understood. No, I understand. Because there's other things that factor in. That I understand.
Yeah, I guess I'm having a hard time.
You're on.
Oh, I got it. We're there. I guess what I'm having a hard time, we have in the budget new positions, and that's where I'm having a hard time figuring out where those are going if we don't talk about them.
Me too.
Okay. No, that's okay. I just want to be on the same page that I'm having a difficult time. So that's why I'm not using this chart, and I'm adding with my calculator from Chet.
So now that you mentioned the new positions,
That we can't talk about.
but we have to talk about backing out that line item for, how do we?
I don't know. We won't talk about it. So I don't know. It's here.
So are we going to talk about any possible new positions that you want to add in the 27 budget that we could possibly have to remove for budget savings? I know you don't want to talk about positions, but I'm not talking about positions that are in the current budget or mid-year hires or whatever. I'm talking about specific positions that you want to add to the 27 budget. Are you willing to discuss whether or not
I think talking about the custodian, because that's not an actual human who
Well,
is
thank
working
you,
for
because I was
us.
trying to dance around that.
You're
when I said
doing a
that.
great job of dancing around it, but I'll be blunt. I think that we can say that we're going to pull the custodian as a
Thank you.
position,
Thank you.
because I would like to pull the custodian as a position.
I didn't know. How to say
I
without
think that
saying
it's wonderful that we would have
Okay. Fair
better
enough.
coverage, cleaner school rooms, and everything would be better. But I think that it's way more important that we have instructors
Yes.
in front of students
Absolutely.
than that the floors are swept every single day. I also look at the number for our overtime at the moment, and our custodial overtime is not that significant.
Correct.
And therefore the trade-off to that for me is clear that we should take that custodial position out.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
agree. Absolutely. And thank you for saving me.
Nobody saved me when I was sitting here babbling on about riffs and stuff, Judy, but you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and the custodian position was already stated earlier in the meeting. That was included in the 2.6, not by me.
The 2 oh, the. no.
In
The
this.
2.6 impact positions impacted, yes, one of those is the full-time custodian that was in the budget, and that was already stated in the meeting.
So this 2.87 number already includes that being removed?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay.
So essentially what we have is one custodian position in that, and then 1.6
Other.
attrition-based positions.
Mhm. So with attrition, removing the custodian, the Chromebooks to current year, the new equipment, all of that puts us at 476, 876 in increase, a 2.87 increase. So can we go any further? And that's where we would want to add in the bus, the 25,000 bus, the medical, if we're willing to do that. And anything else. And if we, Kathy, if we take out if we take that 476, 876 as an increase,
Can I say, because honestly, at the spot where we're at, I'm rethinking our late bus process. Can you just tell me, Kathy, what the percentage would be at 439, 876? Because that would be taking out one family plan, taking out the $7,000 for the midterm bus, keeping the late bus for the homework club kids, and only losing through attrition. $2.73.
That would be the increase.
And the one custodian
That
That's
custodian's
already in
included
there.
that. That's it.
in,
already factored
in
in
the
that number.
2.87.
Mhm.
Fine.
Yeah.
Okay, but,
So,
okay.
so 2.73% would be removing one, everything that's in the 2.87
Mhm.
plus $30,000 for a single family plan.
Yep.
And
7,000
the
for the bus.
7,000 for that midterm bus piece of things. Leaving the late bus for the moment, what I would be curious about personally, and I guess the problem is I wasn't thinking of digging into that line until we got our number last night, and then I needed to actually consider much larger cuts than I was thinking we were going to be looking at. And what I would want to know again is how many kids use that late bus?
Mhm.
And also, is there another way we can economize that process? Because if that number is small, I mean, we've got a van, right? I mean, we have perhaps another option that we might be able to do that, because $17,000 for a late bus is a lot. So if there's
Could
another
we-
way to do it, then I would consider it, but I don't know that the more I think through it, the less comfortable I feel about the idea of, I don't want to say victimizing, but creating more hardship for those students that might already be struggling.
And as I pick up a child every day after school, I'm there when they're getting on that late bus, and there's a good number. I can't give you an exact number.
Come
on. Sorry.
You don't randomly count children?
I don't, for a number of reasons.
We should start.
But
We should start.
unless they're my own and we're out in public, and I don't want to lose one. But there are a good number of students getting onto those buses every time that homework club is going home. So I think there is serious value in there. I think it's not just a handful of students that are benefiting. I think it is 18, 20. So maybe more. And I think that's where we need the input from Rob and the teachers who are working with those students.
Well, and I feel good at a 2.73.
Can we get a motion?
Sure. I would make a motion to approve a 2.73% increase budget for a total of an increase of 439,876.
I'll second.
Any more discussion?
I just really want to move those Chromebooks to this year. I think that I
Okay,
don't want it out of the non-lapsing.
okay.
Are we sure about that number?
Oh,
It's
Check that number.
2.74.
You have 2.58 now.
Yeah, well, I maybe I distracted. It's minus 25, minus 30, minus 7.
So the total increase would be this. What's our old budget?
You said the total increase would be 439,876.
Yes.
So that's an increase of this year's budget, 2.74%.
2.74? I would like to make a motion to, that's technically what I'm doing by
2.74 is
just
what I have.
adding a motion on top of the motion.
Okay.
But I would like to amend my motion to 2.74% if that's easier for people.
I'll second.
I'll
Yes,
second.
thank you. Any more discussion?
Sorry, back to the Chromebooks.
69.
Next year, though, it's going to be very obvious that we're increasing we're increasing that technology line. And I don't want people to freak out that it's going up by 100%, right? Because that's what's going to happen. It's going to be zero and we're going to up it to 100%. And that's going to be alarming to people, but it's just keeping us on track.
Yeah, no, and we've had to have those discussions many years where that's been a zeroed out line item. So
Sure.
we know
Yes.
we have to keep funding the technology.
Yes.
We're catching up now.
Can we just say that we're always going to be catching up with technology and it's going to cost more and more?
Mhm.
All of it is going to keep costing more.
Yep.
So I think.
I mean, but we had years we bought none.
No, but since it's been completely implemented throughout the whole curriculum since COVID, it's increasing like, yeah, like the cybersecurity, it's going to go to a different type of security. So all the security that we've just invested in another 2 to 3 years, we're going to have to redo everything. I'm just saying, like, I just think we really need to think about how much we're implementing technology going forward.
Any other discussion on that? Go ahead.
So one thing, Troy, that I would like to ask about, central office, the raises that are in the central office. We don't currently have an accountant at the moment, right?
We do. And
Andrew, the
and we-
business
and we-
manager?
And we need that position.
I understand we need that position, but how do we budget a raise for a position that's currently, it's right there.
The person that left that position the budget was 68,000. She was
Uh-huh.
actually making more than that, so the forecast would have been higher.
Okay,
So I actually budgeted less than we were paying the individual that left the position. You're looking at that $68,000 budget.
68,000 for 2026 and then proposed for 2027 is 70,000. So it's a 2.94% increase.
For 26 is 75,000.
This one says 68. Okay, because according to this, it says forecast 68,000, budget 60. Okay.
She was making 75,000, but she left and I'm doing that. So you're saving money.
Okay. Okay. I just think, I think we should take or Troy, maybe you should take a closer look at the percentages of increases in that area. Again, trying to be politically correct.
I can look at it again. Sure.
You should have got that.
And I think also if this is going to be how we move forward, we just have to continue to think about where do we go from here if this
Yes.
gets sent back to, if we have to come back to the table again. So, any other discussion?
Well, I would just say that I think that this comes pretty darn close to matching the idea of what our general growth is, which is what Sarah had made comment on, where 2.5% is kind of where we're going in terms of our growth in our grand list. And so keeping ourselves at 2.74, considering, all costs go up, I think is pretty close to reaching that sustainability number that I think we want to aim for moving forward. So.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of moving the budget forward? Aye. Abstain? Okay. Thank you for all of your work on that, Troy. I really appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Come up to this. Anything to update on production lighting at this time?
Just that.
Can I just say something quick to piggyback off of
Really update is
our
that
vote?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Hold on.
So I do think we need, so we got kind of an off the record guidance number,
Mhm.
right? I don't think that's what they're really going for. Just if you're thinking how they philosophically think about things. So we came out with the 2.74. I just really do think that they're gonna come back and ask for more. I think most people here know that, but if we can all think about it so that it doesn't affect how we don't want it to.
Thank you.
On the production lighting, the only thing is that we're trying to get some quotes on the different components of the wheeler stage lights and dimmer switch. And, we did reaching out for this DRIP grant. It's called District Repair and Improvement Project. We hope to get that, and that's about $58,000. So theoretically, it could pay about half of that project. Really hoping that we could get that done, but we'll see.
Okay, thank you. I don't have anything to update on the superintendent search right now, other than the posting is out there. And I was hoping we could all meet as the executive committee afterwards, just for a few minutes. And the resource officer, we're going to keep that on under old business. I don't know that we have anything to discuss on that at this point. Amy, did you have anything you wanted to say about it at this point?
No, I just want to keep it on the agenda.
Okay.
I hope that parents and the community will start to see it on the agenda. Everyone who has voiced their concern over it will start to speak up.
Okay.
I think it's needed. I think it's critical for our school to have it.
Okay, so we can keep that on there. We'll also keep the lighting on there
Could
as
could
well.
I add
Yeah.
about the school
Sure.
resource officer? Just related that our two resident state troopers did meet, had a nice meeting with our administrative staff, and then had a separate meeting with me, just to kind of touch base over just what they do, their responsibilities and all that. And it was a good meeting. Probably be a good idea to have regular meetings with them just to touch base.
And just one more quick comment. Amy and I are actually, we actively look for grants to make sure, or to see if this can get funded. So on the side, we're doing our best to get it covered if possible.
Anything under new business? It doesn't look like we have anything. We have a couple of policies to discuss.
This first policy is up to the board whether they want to take it on or adopt it for 1 year only. As you know, there's an age entry limit for kindergarten now, and you have to be age 5 by September 1st. However, when they put that in, they add a waiver system, which they're doing away with. So after this next school year, no one can even do a waiver. And the only way for kids to do a waiver who are want to enter kindergarten for next school year is for the board to adopt this policy. Now, we do have a handful of families that have already requested a waiver, which means we assess them and determine if it's developmentally appropriate for them to enter kindergarten, and then it's ultimately up to the principal whether that child attends kindergarten. So this new law came upon us very quickly. And we, because of our timing and how on top of things we tend to be here, we had already communicated it to families of the possibility as following board policy. And so but the timing is such that I don't see how the board it'd be difficult for the board to say, we're not going to adopt this policy and kind of honor the fact that we already reached out to families that this is an option.
So I'll move to adopt policy 5112.01.
I'll second.
So I would just like to say, I do believe that it's right. It was a late legislative move.
Mhm.
It was one of those things where it's unfortunate because I do think that it would have been better for us to have just moved forward with our new dates at this point.
Agree.
So I would just say, personal point of view, and perhaps the board wants to take guidance on the or give guidance on this, and the idea that I think we need to make sure that students in the past applying for the waiver basically just kind of slid through. It was like, if you apply for the waiver, you get the waiver. But I do think we need to make sure that we follow the policy, which states that you do need to, like, with that consideration, that child really truly does need to be ready, because otherwise they're setting themselves up into a space where they may not be prepared at the same level as the other kids with their peers. And I know that in the first year, we just said anyone who applies for a waiver gets it. I think that we truly need to make sure that those assessments are if a student is not ready, they don't get the waiver.
As a parent of a pre-K student and speaking to pre-K and kindergarten about the waiver, I have the utmost faith that the staff are going to be very diligent on the waiver process this year.
And again, it's just for 1 more year, and then no one can do a waiver. It's against the law.
Until they come out with it again and say, we'll extend it 1 more year.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of it, so I'll be voting against it, but I'm sure we'll pass it anyway.
Well, and I believe that the new policy actually specifically states for our policy from this point on that it won't happen regardless of state law. So even if they change the state law next year and say that, we would have to change then this policy in order to allow that. So one way or another for us as a district, unless we change this, no matter what the state does, unless they mandate that we must, which doesn't feel like the case. So
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? And graduation requirements.
Yeah, so the other graduation requirements, simply we attach the current policy 6146, and it lists like the number of credits that are required. And then the updated proposed one, it just switches really a half credit for a half credit. So basically adding world history, a half credit there to world history. So it would change social studies. So it would be like, instead of 2.0, it would be 2.5. And then taking the elective credits from humanities down to 2.5 from 3. So it's just switching a half credit to a half credit. This is something the high school really is planning on doing, but wanted the Board of Ed policy to reflect what they're doing.
To adopt policy 6146.
second.
Any
So-
other discussion?
Actually, I do have one just little point of order in this policy. It still states that social studies credits need to be 2.0. It should be a 2.5 in there. And
Right.
because under electives, it was dropped down to a 2.5. So that would just need to be updated when we publish the policy.
Right. Thank you.
I'm amazed that we didn't have a 1 credit world history already. So I think this is great.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Great. All right. Consent agenda?
I make a motion to pass our consent agenda.
Second. All right. Any more discussion? No? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain. I'm like, what do you want to discuss, Brian? All right. Okay. And any comments for future agenda items? Jamie?
I have nothing, actually.
And public comment? Any public comment? Thank you all for coming out. Tried not to keep you too late. And need a motion to adjourn. Oh, hold on. What?
As part of the consent agenda.
We already did. Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.